What is good, defenders, and good morning? That's right. Good morning, everybody. It is 12:15 in the morning. Normally, we do this the night before the match, but it's the morning of the match. We are talking about one more sleep. And yes, good morning, everybody. Live from Lawndale. Hope everything is good. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert. And coming back from Angels Stadium, where we got to see Kenley Jansen get the save, former Dodger, was not just myself, but my partner in pod. We hung out down in Anaheim tonight. I give you a little bit of a tired Christian Philemon.
A little bit of tired is quite the understatement. I'm barely keeping my eyes open. I can't see the screen. I can't see you. I can barely see the millions.
And millions.
Or the 4 or 5 of you that are crazy enough to still be awake. Actually, it's Friday night. Who am I kidding? On a night like this, 20 years ago, I was out painting the town red and causing havoc. We almost forgot to do this one, but shout out to Scarf. Scarf was still on the ball with this as we were having dinner after the Angel game. He's like, oh, crap, we forgot one more sleep. And I thought, yeah, you're right. But here we are, defenders, obviously, because we have a responsibility to y'all, and we want to keep this as consistent as possible. And what's been consistent is the fact that LAFC hasn't lost in their last 7 games. And thinking about that, all things considered, that game against the Galaxy was awful. Yeah. But I still have to remind myself that we're unbeaten in 7, which actually kind of takes the sting out of things a little bit. And I mean a little bit.
Yeah, we're creeping up the standings. We, of course, are in 5th place in the West, 6-4-4, 22 points, 25 goals, 20 allowed for a +5, which is certainly better than it was earlier in the year. Look, the last time we played Montreal was 6 years ago to the day tomorrow. And, oh, by the way, Philly, beating Montreal in that match 4-2 gave us a 7-match unbeaten streak. So it's incredible how history has a tendency to repeat itself. Fat Kid completely agree in the chat. The 32-52 was incredible. Montreal has been terrible this season. Then again, so had Carson, and that didn't stop us from giving up 2 points to Carson on the road. Montreal, 1 win, 9 losses, 4 draws, 7 points to go with their 8 goals, 23 allowed in those matches, and a -15 on the season. Philly, nobody scores fewer goals in Major League Soccer in 2025 than Montreal.
I mean, I don't want to be too screw it. Forget it. It's way after dark. Yes, Montreal's a garbage team. No question about that. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to try to be politically correct. Club de Foot stinks. Point blank, they stink. And we don't have a lot of history against them. Like you said, the last time we played them was 2019. The last time LAFC ended up going to Canada to play Montreal was back April 21st of 2018. In the 2 games that we played against them, we've scored 9 goals. But you want to talk about how bad Montreal is? Their only win this season, by the way, coming against NYCFC at the turn of the month of May. They lost in the first leg of the Canadian Cup final to a Canadian Premier League team, Forge FC, this past Tuesday, 1-0. And then over the weekend, they got their butts handed to them 6-1 by their biggest rival, Toronto. So, yes, this is not a good team, but tomorrow's going to be some crappy-ass weather. Don't want to use that as an excuse. But the advantage will be in favor of Montreal because they're at least a little more used to playing in some crap conditions. 50 degrees, rainy. I mean, we can say that we've had that with Portland and Seattle, but you know what? No, forget it. Like, Montreal sucks, and we absolutely need to go in there and beat the crap out of them. Done.
Look,
there we go.
Couldn't agree more. Philly, they've also been shut out 8 times in 2025, including in that match that you just mentioned by Forge FC. Unfortunately, again, your former team, NYCFC, giving them...
You love to keep throwing that in there, don't you?
I do. Giving them their only win on the season. Also a bummer, Philly. Yeah, there's your season ticket card.
Before I even had an inkling that I would live in California.
Also a bummer, Philly. No Bryce Duke tomorrow, as he apparently is out with a lower body injury. So we don't get to at least watch one of our former players, although we do get to watch another, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. But you mentioned it, Philly. There's going to be two players to watch on Montreal in terms of goal scoring. You're going to talk about one of them. The other, though, look, I don't know what they're going to get from Giacomo Vrioni, but what they have gotten from Giacomo so far in all competitions, he has 3 goals in 261 minutes. That is not a lot of minutes to produce 3 goals. He's really efficient, but he's only played 261 minutes because he's had a groin issue for most of the season. So we'll see what happens. Their only other bright spot this season, look, they have brought in a ton of players from a bunch of different MLS teams, and it has not worked out. But Luca Petrasso, their left back, has been very good. A goal and 3 assists this season. They brought him over for Orlando. But Philly, we thought Olivier Giroud was bad. Caden Clark, the former darling of the U.S. men's national team, how about no goals, no assists in almost 1,000 minutes played this season? The kid is supposedly too young and too talented for that. They also brought over Jalen Neal from Carson, Dante Seeley from Dallas, Fabian Herbers from Chicago, and it just hasn't looked good for Montreal this season. And Jonathan Sirois, their goalie, has been okay. He hasn't given up more than 2 goals since March 22nd. I guess that's good, right?
Well, that back line still stinks, and they're very prone to a lot of defensive errors, something that LAFC could absolutely capitalize on. But perhaps we won't necessarily go too far into that until we go into our keys to the game.
Shall we?
This should not be a game we lose. This should not be a game that we lose points in. And this should be a game that doesn't get overlooked. Yes, we all know that on the 31st, we're going to have the most important game in club history. But the most important game right now for LAFC is truly the game against Montreal. The thing that's always scary about competing against teams like the Foot Clan is that you sometimes play down to the level of your opponent. For those that have been athletes at some point in their lives, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you're playing pickup basketball against crap talent, sometimes your game starts to go down. When you're playing against some really talented people, your game starts to increase because there's more of a desire there. That's where this game could get a little bit tricky. That coupled in with the weather, coupled in with thinking about the next game along the lines. And I don't know if there's going to be any kind of roster rotation. It's going to be very interesting to see who Steve throws out there, knowing that very well, $10 million is on the line next week. Can't really risk any injury, but at the same time, can't drop points against a lowly opponent. This should be 3 points. It's necessary to collect 3 points. We can't keep getting draws and expecting to climb up the rankings. Whereas, yes, if you win at home and then get a point on the road, that's a good thing. But come on, man. We tied the Galaxy, which is the worst team in this league. We can't tie or, God forbid, lose to the second worst team.
Yeah, look, completely agree. This should be 3 points, but I do agree we may see some roster rotation in this one. My player to watch reflects that. I don't know that yours does, but I think yours is still a very, very safe bet to get significant minutes. The most important thing in this match, Philly, and I think you'll agree with me, is that aside from picking up 3 points and getting on the team plane, we need to do that healthy. We need everybody to leave Montreal healthy. So that being said, let's hop right into it, Philly. What do you say?
Yep. I mean, I don't have much gas in me after our trip to Anaheim, so let's get to it.
Sounds good. All right, my players to watch in this one. Let's start out with Frankie Amaya. I do believe exactly what Philly said, that there is going to be a little bit of roster rotation. And I think one of the beneficiaries of that is going to be one of our 2 newest signings anyway, Frankie Amaya, the Southern California kid who apparently, if you listen to him and his family, wanted to be with LAFC from all the way back in 2019 when he was drafted by FC Cincinnati. But that being said, I think that we're going to see a little bit of rotation in the midfield. Igor Jesus has played a ton of minutes. I know, obviously, Marky Delgado has played a ton of minutes. Hopefully he won't be dehydrated from crying the day before the match again, because that was a bummer that he had to come out because of cramping. So, look, I think we had to take 2 midfielders off. last game because of cramping. I think Frankie Amaya will be the beneficiary of that. And look, no Bryce Duke. Bryce Duke might be hurt, but they still have Mahala. He is still looking for his first goal this season. It has been a rough one for our former boy, Mahala Opoku. We love him, and I want him to do very, very, very well for Montreal this season, just not against LAFC. So I'm going to go with taking some of those Bryce Duke minutes away will likely be Mahala Opoku, although Giacomo Vrioni has looked good, and we talked about him earlier. But I like Mahala. I love Mahala. I want to see him do well. And I've got Frankie Amaya, the former UCLA product. Philly.
That's a bold choice to pick Mahala because, I mean, he's got 2 starts in 19 minutes in MLS play this year. Obviously, yes, due to injury, but he did, get the start against Forge. Not sure how much we're going to see out of Opoku, but, I mean, in his time at LAFC, sure, we loved him. Now, because of what you were saying, right, and what I was saying earlier, roster rotation, I don't think we're going to necessarily have to be reliant upon somebody like a Denis Bouanga. I see in the chat LAFC vet says, it looks like I ate a handful of melatonin gummies. You want to hear a funny story quick? I'm going to go off on a transgression because maybe that'll wake me up a little bit. You want to talk about starting off a day really rough, Scarf? For some reason, I had my gummy vitamins next to my melatonin. So one morning, as I was mildly late for work, I went to go get my coffee. I reached in, grabbed my gummies. I started chewing on them, realized, oh, crap. I just ate like 2 things of melatonin. And that's how I started my day. Needless to say, it was a rough one. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, I don't think we're going to necessarily need to rely on Denis Bouanga all that much. Denny's done some incredible things. And if he manages to score 2 more goals, he'll be at 50 within the next 6 games. He'll be one among a group of MLS players, 15 of which to score 50 goals in under 90 regular season games. We did have a player once by the name of Carlos Vela, and at some point we'd like to learn how that saga ends. Carlos Vela, you want to talk about how excellent he was? He managed to score 50 goals over the course of 61 games. Denis Bouanga scored 48 over the course of 83. So we'll see where he ends up as far as getting 250. But Carlos Vela, those numbers are insane. Anyways, again, I fall off the chain. But I think because he had such a bad showing against the Galaxy that David Martinez is going to have a rebound kind of a game. He did not look threatening at all. The one shot he did have went well over into field goal territory, about 40 feet above John McCarthy's head. Of course, that's an exaggeration. So I'm going to look for David to have a rebound performance. And for Montreal, this isn't a tough one. They've scored 8 goals, and contributing to 5 of them is the German out of Wertheim, Deutschland. Wertheim is a city just southeast of Frankfurt, towards the middle, I guess you could say, of the country. But he's a guy who's played in and with some nice youth academies. I'm not going to say he's had a stellar career playing in the Bundesliga because teams like Jan Regensburg and Paderborn in 1860 Munich doesn't necessarily scream success. But as far as success is concerned, if there's going to be any kind of an attack given by Montreal, Prince Owusu is going to be that guy. 3 goals, 2 assists on the season. Again, that's 5 goal contributions over the course of the 8 goals that Montreal scored. I mean, this is low-hanging fruit, but you got to pay attention to the German from Wertheim.
Yeah, look, I think Denis Bouanga is going to crack that 80-goal mark for LAFC in this match in all competitions. He needs just one. He needs just one to crack 80, and he'll obviously be the second player ever. Diego Rossi had 59 goals, in case you're wondering, for LAFC to be third place. Carlos Vela with 93 in all competitions, so just 14 away is Denis Bouanga. Look, mine are pretty simple. I put the first one in French for all of you out there. Tirer les ballons. And that's shoot the ball. Tirer les ballons.
Oh, it doesn't mean sleep right now?
It does
sleep
not
on
mean
a balloon?
sleep right now. It means shoot the ball. How many times against Carson were we lamenting the fact that our boys, for some reason, once that ball got at least near or inside the 18, didn't shoot the ball? There were too many times. Denis Bouanga, Nathan Ordaz, a couple of others They took an extra second, took an extra touch, took an extra 2 touches. I don't want it to be Eddie Segura from distance or Timothy Tillman from distance. And as much as I love them, and they've done it in the past, Smolyakov or Palencia from distance, I want our boys who score goals to be shooting the ball. And we know Denis Bouanga has had 3 games at least this season of 9 shots or more. So I'm not worried about Denis Bouanga bringing his shooting boots, but I am a little bit. I need the rest of the supporting cast. I need your boy David Martinez. I need, if it's Jeremy Abobasi in the middle or Nathan Ordaz or, hold on to your butts, Olivier Giroud, I need to make sure that we are shooting the ball. So, tirer les ballons. And the second, going back to exactly what Philly said, 1 is not good enough going to Montreal. I don't want to bring back 1 point. I don't want us to score just 1 goal. I want us to come in with that mentality of putting up a crooked number so that we can bring home a crooked number worth of points. It is absolutely imperative that LAFC comes out with the killer instinct. We need, after we get the first, not to sit back, not to hold possession, not to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. Step on the gas, step on their throats, and put Montreal out of their misery early. Maybe we get 2 in the first half. Maybe we get 3. And then, as the kids say, we can put the fries in the bag and just hang for the second half. I'm fine with roster rotation. I'm fine with parking the bus up 3-0 after 75 minutes. Let's do that, but let's get there first.
All I see is the word tired, because that's exactly what I am. This is an uncharacteristic pod for me. I don't recall being this tired. I probably inebriated and sounding like years ago, but I haven't had anything to drink in like 33 days, so that's not why. All right. Our set piece defending, or at least the getting goals conceded off of free kicks this season has not been very good. I mean, we've had games against San Diego where that's happened. Messi's done that to us. Most recently, Marco Royce has done that to us. I don't think that the attack from Club de Foot is going to be that scary come tomorrow. If it is, and if they manage to score a goal in the run of play, it's because our defenders slipped because the grass was wet and Prince Owusu and company managed to get by them. I think if there's any opportunity for Montreal to score, it would be just by LAFC committing some ridiculous foul, whether it be in or out of the box, and potentially conceding in that type of a measure. I haven't liked what LAFC's done on some of these free kicks, on some of the set piece defending. So to me, that needs to be improved upon. I don't think they have anybody that would be really talented enough to curl it. Yes, I'm being really mean to the Foot Clan. But they've done it to themselves. So to me, we just have to improve upon our set piece defending, not allow them to not allow the opposition to concede from a free kick. And I think we'll be all right for tomorrow.
Look,
today, what am I talking about? Tomorrow would be Sunday. So today, oh my God.
I do want to remind everybody, last time we played these guys 6 years ago to the day, tomorrow, they only scored 1 of their 2 goals in that 4-2 win for LAFC. It was good old Eddie Segura scoring 1 for Montreal. So hoping that history does not repeat itself. Eddie Segura started.
Why would you even put that out there into the world? You know the laws of attraction are real. Don't think about that.
I'm just saying.
Go back and slap that from the record.
Just saying. It happened. That's all I'm saying. Look, I think this one should be a wrap. 3-0. LAFC take home 3 points by scoring 3 goals. Get some guys in like the 70th, 75th minute. Play good defense to close it out. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. For me, 3 goals, 3 points, clean sheet. You prepare for Club America by getting everybody out of there healthy and playing the best you can.
Oh, okay. So it's up to me. All right. So we are in agreement in the fact that LAFC is going to score at least 3 goals in the game. I feel the same way too. But I do feel like there's going to be some type of an error, some type of a lapse in judgment, or some type of fatigue-related instance, or some type of a mistake, or God forbid, some type of a set-piece free kick scenario. Excuse me, not to burp and sneeze. That was a weird thing that I had to do. I do think LAFC is going to give up a bogus goal, but not one that's really going to affect them as far as being threatened. 3-1 is my call. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
I do want to answer the question from Vet. Yes, 2 players are on the verge of yellow card accumulation suspension, which won't affect the Club America game, by the way. But David Martinez and Sergi Palencia are both definitely on yellow card accumulation watch, as they are 1 away from needing to sit out a match. Montreal, by the way, has a player as well, Joel Waterman, who I also think my accountant's name is Joel Waterman for that measure. So
what was the guy's name on the Marlins? Oh, Wagaman.
Wagaman. There you go. Look, I think this is going to be hopefully a very boring and a very straightforward 3 points for LAFC. This Montreal team, at least you can look at guys like Marco Royce and Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel and go, okay, those are world-class talents. Those are great players. Those are guys that can do some things. I don't see a lot of that with Montreal, and I know Philly doesn't either. It's got to be one of those that we get in and we get out healthy, 3 points, and then get ready for Club America, as Philly said, most important game that this club will have played. So 3-0. Philly's got 3-1. And just because I kind of want to do this, Philly, I'm going to give you the last word.
I need sleep.
All right, y'all. You heard Philly. He did not accidentally take melatonin. I don't even think he needs to, because I think in the next 5 minutes, Philly's going to be asleep. I've got 3-0. Philly's got 3-1. I know Ruben's not here to, remind you guys to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Head on over to dependencebank.com, click on shop. You can buy some cool stuff. Otherwise, if you're in Montreal or you're traveling to Montreal tonight, maybe you got to see this live. We love you all. And thank you all for in the chat. Vet, Smirty, it's past your bedtime. I don't know what you're still doing up. But Gomez, did I see Tony in the chat as well?
Tony was there earlier, yeah.
Tony was there earlier. Love it. All you guys in the chat, you guys are the best. Philly, it was great hanging out with you tonight, bud. And we'll see everybody in a little bit. Bye-bye.